Hello, evening all. Hope you're doing well. How's your week been? How you been feeling the energies? A couple of people were talking about that on the comments section, and it was, I wanted to go into a little bit about the shift and stuff like that. But literally, you can start asking any questions you like, literally about anything about energy and so forth. It could be about the shift of energy, the shift of consciousness that is going on at the moment. And good evening, Fuja. How you doing? Lovely to see you. Lovely to see everybody. You can comment as you like. I do try and answer all the comments and stuff like that as we go along. Let me just bring up the comment section and stuff like that so everybody can see what's going on. There we go. Is that right? 1 second. I'm just checking something. Sorry, I do apologise. No, because there you go. Because you can't see the comments. So let me just bring the comments back up. There you go. Yeah. So energy. I've been dowsing over the last couple of days actually, with the energies and so forth. And someone was talking about it being a little bit. I think it was Lynn was talking about it being a little bit sort of heavy and so forth. The energies, and yeah, I think it's a lot different to what it was, say, like 6 months ago and so forth. And that's because we're going through that change between the solar flare season, which was the height of solar activity, and going on to the transitional stuff, which is much more to do with sort of emotional and earth energy, so water and earth energy, and I think the shift and the eclipses and so forth, which we've just been through the lunar eclipse. It was like it's like energy's sort of kind of going, right, we've been messing around for a long time now, boom. And it's almost as if it's like pulling a handbrake turn. I don't know what you call a handbrake turn in American, but in the UK it's like the handbrake. I guess it's the foot brake. I don't know. And it seems to be like that sometimes. And I think it's basically, I think the overall thing here is as well is that, I say life should be fun, so please do enjoy and everything like that, and it should be fun. And even in times when there's work on and we got to do work and what have you, it should be fun. But at the moment, it's almost as if like energy is sort of like, and that's been building up over the last sort of like 3-4 weeks really, where it's kind of going, right, now we've got to knuckle down. If we want this shift, we've got to start knuckling down. Suli, how you doing? Lovely to see you. So it seems like that at the moment, the energy seems to be a bit like that. So you may find it a little bit heavy occasionally. And I've noticed it with dowsing the line. I've noticed it with the line that I'm sitting on at the moment that runs through here. It's not as bubbly as what it should be. And we're coming up to the equinox, and that's a particular shift as well within the energy. In the northern hemisphere, because we're doing the autumn equinox, the energy goes from its full capacity right down to its lowest capacity within a nanosecond, within a second. And you can literally, it's like all is well. Thank you. Excellent. Good. It's good to hear all is well. It's good to hear all is well. Yeah. So, it's it quite literally it relates to the equinox of the time of where you are in the southern hemisphere. For everybody in the southern hemisphere, Rainflower, you hello in Australia. We're just talking about the southern hemisphere. Okay, so the southern hemisphere, you're going into it's like the spring equinox. It's a spring equinox. So basically, the energy is going to be going up to, so you got the most basic amount of energy, and then it goes doubles, and then it goes up by a third, and then it goes up by a quarter and then goes back down. Hi Coral, how you doing? Lovely to see you. Yeah, good morning Australia. You know, um, it's so you're going to be up into equivalent of the third gear. Let's put it that way. Third gear of energy. Julie, how you doing? Lovely to see you. Lynn, lovely to see you. Yeah, you're in Australia as well. Good morning, Australia. I was just talking about, about how the energy was heavy. I didn't know if you saw it earlier on because I saw your comment on one of the videos. I think it was on Capricorn. I was talking about how it was a little bit sort of heavy and stuff like that. And we're going through that shift. So in the Northern Hemisphere, we're moving from the height in fourth gear, going right down to first gear. And everything's going to sort of like slow down. That's what the autumn is all about. And but in Australia, it's going to be shifting up. The equinoxes, that's where things always are moving upwards in both southern and northern hemispheres. In the solstices, yes, solstices, not the equinoxes. Yeah, so it might be that as well that it's preparing for, and at the same time, we do have that solar eclipse that's happening on that moment there. And looking at the sun, we may be getting a few flares around that sort of time as well. So it could be like a real sort of like a compacting energy at the moment. There's a lot going on, and it may at times feel very heavy, especially with the coronal holes that has been going through, and that's that earth energy. And so it may have been really sort of heavy. And yeah, getting on and doing, I think, is a really important time at the moment to be doing that sort of thing, because it's sort of because of that heavy energy. It's good to sort of like building and constructing and creating and stuff like that. Not necessarily creators in an artistic sort of sense, but yeah, it does like it's more sort of like physically creating stuff. So concentrating on all the things that are going on in the background of your life that you need preparing for all your goals is really important. That came out in a lot of people's readings as well. And I'll tell you what, the readings this week as well were across all the signs seemed to be this whole sort of you could feel the shift within the readings. And obviously in each sign it comes out in a different way for every sign, and that's all down to the elements and so forth. But there was a definite underlining sort of thing going on about this shift. Now, obviously, what's been going on over in America at the moment, over in the US, over the past few days, I think it's part and parcel of that shift. It's part and parcel of that conscious shift that we've been talking about, or I've been talking about now for about sort of like a month and a half, saying it's coming up. I think it's coming up this sort of, it's happening now. And it's not something that you kind of like wake up, have a cup of tea, and it's kind of going, oh, right, everything's changed. You may have moments like that, but it's more of a case of kind of like, you're having a hangover for a week and a half, really, from all that champagne sooner. That's what it is. And like, it's like after that you sort of like get over the hangover of that shift, and it's I think it's going to last. I think we'll consciously be aware of it because we're consciously aware of things more sort of like in a Vita, how you doing? Lovely to see you. Sorry, I was just looking at your question there, Freesia. How long will it take to complete? I think it's I think by I would say around about the 23rd, 24th, it will become very concrete, very obvious for the majority of people. Obviously, there's some people who got to plug in their spirit or their consciousness when they in life. So they may take a bit of time, and I think unfortunately those sort of people are going to feel very lost in the future. If people are waking up at the moment, you may find that it's a little bit like a cork that's being held down at the bottom of the ocean. As it comes up to the surface, it literally just going to go pop. And a lot of people might find themselves having sort of like serious mental health adjustments. I wouldn't say mental health issues, because they may be seen by issues from the outside world, but madness is only defined by someone else and their point of view. Madness in theory doesn't really exist. It's only a point, you only considered mad compared with the majority of people that are around you. And most of us in the Astroflower family, I think if we're honest with each other, I think we would all be considered a little bit, you know what I mean? I've had to put up with it all my life. People just sort of kind of going, yeah, but you're just a bit mad, aren't you? I go, yeah, and I'm happy to be, and I've been waiting around for this shift for 30 years. And this, and I think the people who haven't, connected their consciousness to their spirit and energy and the life that is around them, I think they're going to find they're going to have difficulties and issues. So, difficulties in the sense that they're going to understand. It's not a case of not knowing; it's a case of knowing too much. That is the problem for the majority of people, and a lot of people are starting to realize, oh my word, what's been going on, as the wool has been pulled over the eyes of a lot of people for a long period of time. And I think that's coming to an end at the moment. And once it comes to an end, they won't, that will not be able to happen in the future. So, it's obviously be wary of, I say be wary, not wary as in kind of going, oh, look out for them, but more sort of like be wary as in the sense of, some people may need sort of like just a comforting cup of tea occasionally, sort of saying, don't worry about it. It's all part and parcel of the shift, the change. You're understanding a lot. And yeah, it's all new, and it may be sort of like you're trying to warn everybody and everything like that, but maybe not, just keep it calm and keep it cool and relaxed, just so that they can get through it a lot easier more than anything else around us. But I think the shift is, it's been coming for a long time, and I think it's like a tipping point more than anything else. You imagine it's a bit like a pendulum, and that pendulum never really stops, and then we go from one side to the other at some given point. And that's what I think we're doing. I think we're moving from one point to another, a little bit like pole shift, and this is what it's tied into, because pole shift is like that. It never stops. In fact, we're constantly going through a pole shift. There's just moments at the surface where we wouldn't really notice it because the pendulum is very much in the middle. But once it starts pushing out that way and going the other way, then we start noticing it. And then once it's, we're used to that new configuration, it will seem that it's stable then for another 24,000 years or whatever it is. So, just be conscious of the people that are around you. They may need a bit of help, but don't sacrifice yourself. Who was talking about, I think it was you, Suli, Soli, that was talking about how to say no. And I wanted to go into that because I think that's going to really help a lot of people. No is not a bad thing, right? Whoever's got kids out there will understand that no is not a bad thing. And one of the things we do as kids, as children, and this is all to do with the rhythms in life. So we have a 9-month rhythm, 18-month rhythm, 3-year, 6-year, 12-year, 24-year rhythm. And they're the first 24 years of the apprenticeship years. And then 24 to 48 is the creation years. Then 48 turns up. For females, you have your menopause and you can no longer create, as it were. For males, we have what is called the entrepause. So we all go through it, regardless whether you're male or female. And then you go from 48 to 72, which is equivalent of what I call the wisdom years, where you convey your wisdom to the world around you. And then from 72 to 96, you can literally do what you like. Doesn't really matter. You're on holiday. But we have the terrible twosomes, which is around that 18 months to 3 year period. And learning that no as a child is really important, and affirming oneself. And we tend to forget about it going on later on in life. I will be coming back to Julie and Rainflower. We'll be coming back there in a minute with your comments. But this, I just want to get through this no, because I think that's really important, because no is not such a bad thing. So basically, I explain it like this. I have explained this before, maybe on another video, but basically, if you imagine like I was sitting in my garden, the sun was shining, I was having a cup of tea and a crafty oily rag, and a young lady comes around the corner with her car, and the back tire is flat, and the young lady asked me if I could help her change her back tire. I wasn't doing anything, sitting in the sunshine, just enjoying myself. And I don't listen to my brain when I decide whether I should help or not someone. I listen to my body, because my body's going to be able to tell me a lot better if I should say yes or no, because in theory, that's all you need to know. You need to know whether I should say yes or no. Once, if you know you've got to say yes, then obviously at that point they're kind of going, okay, how can I help this person? So I stood up and I listened to my body. Now, my body, when it talks to me, when someone asks me for a favor or service or something like that, I listen to my body, and my body will say my abdomens will tighten and my back will straighten, and that's my body saying to me, Tom, no, say no, say no. If I feel my heart rate go up and I get goosebumps and I get that sort of like light feeling going on, that's the yes. Sometimes I get both. And when I get both, I usually say to the person, look, leave it with me. I'll see what I can do. When I go out for a walk with Cody, I'll chuck that demand in front of me, and I'll let my body speak, and then I'll know exactly what I can help with and what I can't help with. And I stay honest to myself. I stay honest to people. And I will say to them, I can help you with this, but I can't help you with this. And I'm sort of straight with people, as it were. So this person with the flat tire, I was sitting in my garden, not doing anything, and I stood up and I kind of listened to my body, and I said to the young lady, I said, no, I can't help you. I sat back down with my cup of tea, my oily rag, and she looked at me as if to sort of say, what, really? You serious? You're not going to give me a hand? What? You're bang out of order, man. You're not a nice person. So I was treated to all the names under the sun, as it were. And then 2 minutes later, a young man came around the corner in his car, and she flagged him down. And she asked him, and he said, yeah, I can help you. So the moment he started helping her, she looked at me as if to say, sort of thing. She really, and and 2 years later, or whatever it was, 2 years or 18 months later, the two of them got married. If I'd said yes, they wouldn't have really met. And this is where this is what's being consciously engaged in life. And it's all the little things. It's not the big things. It's the little things that count, because it's like, balls on a snooker table or a billiard table. Once you hit a ball, they're going to start hitting other balls, and it's going to change everybody's position within the table. And if you're conscious about that, of how you're pushing the balls around, you can help create situations. Or, I didn't even know that they were going to get married. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm not concerned. It's over my head. Nothing to do with me in a way. My job is just to realize whether I should say yes or no. So for me personally, it's that I listen to my body. And if you start listening to your body, you will understand very quickly. If you look at very simple things where it doesn't create a lot of arguments and stuff like that, if you look at a lot of simple things, you'll understand very, very quickly what you should say yes to and what you shouldn't say yes to. Yes and no. You know what I mean? So, because there's reasons that you'll never understand. You don't need to understand. You should never ask why, because the answer usually is way too complex and you'll never get used. You'll just spend the whole time in your head just kind of go, oh man, I don't know what's going. It's creates anxiety and so forth. So, it's learning to understand the language that your body is speaking to you. Once you do that, if you can understand the language that your body is speaking to you and have the courage, because it does take a bit of courage in order to follow that body's thing, because sometimes it flies in the nature of judgment of people, and I'm not here, no one's here to judge me. I'm not here to judge anybody else. It's not the way it works on this planet. But if you've got the courage in order to do it, that's where we really can engage in life. And all of a sudden you're gonna be a lot less stressed in life. You'll have a lot less in the way of illnesses. Your body will be a little bit more sort of, kind to you. You'll find you'll have a lot less in the way of aches and pains and so forth. Because when you've got an ache and pain, your body's trying to tell you something. And if you get to a point where you get an illness, it's because your body's screaming at you. So the yes and the no is one of those things that can help you enormously to avoid any illnesses, complications, and so forth going forward. At some point, obviously, your body will cease to exist. It's not like the elixir of life that's it. Once you listen to your body, you never part. Your body will never pass away. It has an expiration date. And thankfully it does. To be honest, because that's what the whole experience is the life bit which is really enjoyable. If we were here forever, it would be very boring, I think. So I just wanted to get that out of the way, because I did say to Sully that I was going to sort of talk about that, and it's really important if you on a daily basis. That's why I did that tea meditation thing, because it's the gateway to start listening to your body and start listening and how it connects to the world that is around you. And if you do little things on a daily basis, before you know it, it will help you in your business. It will help you in your personal life, in your meditation, in your physical life. There's lots of things it helps with. Let me just get back to. I missed out on. A couple of comments. Let me just catch up on the comments there, because a lot of comments have been coming through there. So I'm going back to where Julie, in the last 2 days, my emotions have been like a roller coaster. Yeah, you're not the only one, Julie. I'll tell you what, other people have been saying that, and I have been saying that as well. So, I've been experiencing that as well, and it is a bit of a roller coaster, and it's almost as if like that's what's helping the consciousness to slow down, so we can get in alignment with the consciousness. And sometimes it's addressing those peaks and troughs in emotions that help us to sort of readjust to where we should be at the moment. So depressive tonight, I'm back to normal, happily. Thank goodness. Happy self, thank goodness. Yeah. Excellent. That's good to hear, Julie. And yeah, I think it could also have to do with that corona horn. That could also to do with that heavy energy that's coming through, and it does sort of like bring things down. So yeah, I totally get that. And it's good to see you back to your normal self. Rainflower, my veil lifted slowly over many years. Okay. And truly happened at the start of. I need to just enlarge that so I can read it properly. Start of COVID. To have it happen now at once would be very heavy. Yeah, exactly. I was, although I'd done a lot of things when I was a kid, in I'd done a lot of things when I was a kid, and I've been exploring dowsing and everything like that, even within my early teens and stuff like that. And but there was a moment that I felt like that energy, or God, if you like, just came along and kicked me out of bed, and it was hard. It was interesting. Let's put it that way. It was very interesting. But yeah, it's if we can extract that slowly over time, it's a lot easier. Yeah, I can understand that. But at the moment, there's people that are literally just kind of going, ding, oh my word, I see everything, oh my word. And that's where people can go into that sort of thing. So, Liddy, hi, how you doing? Lovely to see you. Yeah, so it was you indeed, yes. I said no a few times, but came to regret it later. How one knows. It depends how you regretted it. Did you? There's a lot of details in that, but that maybe in the background and stuff like that. Yeah, I can. Don't say no. Sometimes, when your body's talking to you and it sort of says, say yes, just kind of go, really? Say yes? It does fly sometimes in the face of what we think we should be doing, or mentally think what we should be doing. Once we listen to the body, there's, we get less thinking. It is a little bit easier. But if you said yes, you might have regretted it even more. Can't say, obviously, because we don't have that advantage of hindsight of, because you didn't say yes, you said no. So, you might have, you might have avoided something that was a lot worse if you had said yes. Who knows? You know what I mean? So Vita, I hope we answered the message, Lynn. There are consequences, positive or negative, to every action. Oh, hang on a second, that moved. Okay, hang on a second, I didn't see it. Hang on a second, Vita, let me get back to that. To every action we take, no matter how small. Yeah, totally. If you imagine like a tube full of marbles, I don't know if you call them marbles in America or whatever, little glass beads, if the tube is full, you only have to push one in, and then that tube could be 20,000 miles long. It's going to make the marble at the end fall out the other end. So even the smallest actions can have, like the butterfly that creates a hurricane or whatever it is, that sort of thing. Yeah, even the smallest actions can be, can have huge consequences on life. But if you're doing it consciously, the consequences tend to be a constructive one rather than a destructive one. And when I say constructive, I don't necessarily mean that. So a constructive one, say like if I do something that's a very small action, and what happens is it makes, without knowing it from my side, and it's not an intention from my side. Let's say someone I know, their business fails, they go out of business and they go bankrupt. You may look at that and kind of go, oh man, that's a really negative outcome. But actually they needed to go bankrupt so they could do something else in their life. This is why you shouldn't really ask why. Negative, I don't look at the, Vita, personally, I don't look at the world in negative and positive. Everything is as it should be, as it were, So, Lynn, as a coach, so this is Liddy, so true. It is so true, isn't it, Liddy? Lynn says, as a coach, I ask if you always say yes, what are you saying no to? Oh, right, okay. Answers usually are peace, time, and freedom. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I keep it, my terminology tends to be about cake. So I sort of say, if you're going to make a cake, make sure you keep a piece for yourself. And this is why you've got to say no. So then if the cake's tastes good or not, because people will lie to you and say, "Oh, yeah, it's a lovely cake," and then when you're not there, they're kind of going, "My word, that cake was awful." You know what I mean? So yeah, that's totally true, and it usually is. It's usually you can only sacrifice a certain part of yourself, as it were. I wouldn't sacrifice the the whole, because I think also um, there is a part that it's dedicated to life, and you should always you always keep that part within you. So so Lily, so true about listening to your body. It is so true. I had that calf muscle, right, and I talked about it the other day, and I know what that, and I'm having a bit of a niggling problem with it still at the moment. It's all right. I'm walking about and everything's fine. I took Katie for a nice long walk yesterday, and then I did an action today in my own life, and then I started getting the pains back in my calf muscle, and I know why, and it's just kind of it's got to be done, but yeah, I think listening to your body is enormously important. Okay, so Julie, I go with my guts now. It feels very liberating. Yeah, well, that's it. It's part and parcel of it. When your stomach's going like that, it's usually because, well, this is how I explain it. For me, it's usually a situation that's causing you a bit of stress, bit of a problem, and stuff like that. So usually, if my stomach's going, or a bit bloated and stuff like that, obviously there's physical elements to it and everything like that. And I totally understand that. Just talking about that is getting the stomach going. But so usually I say to people that just sort of stop for 2 seconds, just look around you and and there will be a situation that will jump out at you that sort of says, yeah, that's the situation there. I need to speak to Joe about that situation, or Dave about that situation. And the problem is not Dave and it's not you. The problem is the situation. And just finding, contributing to the solution to the situation and that is part and parcel as well. So I think as well, living, of listening to your gut and going on your gut feeling. I totally get that. Rainflower, so true. As women, I think we tend to not say no, and then we learn. I only, I only reverent this at 39. At 39, is that supposed to be years, or is it hertz? 39 years. At 39, I guess it was 39. Um, yeah, it's yeah, it's yeah. Well, females have that empathy, a lot more in the way of empathy that blokes don't have, because males tend to be they've got they're focused on one thing. They're really bad at multitasking, for example, and that's because the physical construction of the brain is slightly different between a male and a female. You get more white brain cells in a female than you do in a male. And males have more grey brain cells than they do in a female. And then grey brain cells is all to do with trajectory, speed, distance, and that sort of thing, and that sort of calculation. Whereas white brain cells are all about connecting various things and seeing how it all sort of works together. So I think you get a lot more empathy out of females than you do out of males. And but then there's different types of empathy as well. It's like putting something out of its misery is much more of a male thing than a female thing. But anyway, it's yeah, so yeah, I get that. I get that. And you might have learned it at the age of 39. Yeah, just think if you had learned it right at the beginning, would have saved you a lot of time. You wouldn't have wasted so much rainflower. So Shirley, thank you so very much for your explanation. Oh, thank you very much, Shirley. So totally, it's absolutely lovely. Thanking you. Thank you, Tom. This is gold. Is it gold? Is it great? Sell it. It's worth a fortune these days. Gold. Um, Anne Marie. Hello, Anne Marie. How you doing? Lovely to see you. Thanks, Tom. I started listening to my body around different people, and it really made a difference as to who to spend time with and who to keep more distance with. Yeah, totally. There's some people who resonate with you, some people who don't. Doesn't necessarily mean the people who don't resonate with you are nasty people. It's just like maybe they're not supposed to be in your life, and you're not supposed to be in their life. You know what I mean? But yeah, totally, I get that. Listening to your body is hugely important. I wouldn't listen to the brain. The brain is very fickle. The body. The body it's got a lot more no nonsense about it. So yeah. Okay. So yeah, and then as Vita as well says, agree, Tom. Yeah, instead of thinking of negative and positive outcomes, it's just one path or another. Exactly. And that's the other thing is as well, you have your own path. No one is ever on your path. So at times you're going to get people that are right, that you've got your pathways that are right next to each other, usually in relationships and so forth. But at no point are you on someone's path, and at no point are they on your path. But and those paths can go like that. They cross over and stuff like that. But yeah, totally, it's like you're just contributing to the exploration of our paths rather than sort of. Some people can take it as negative, and some people can take it as positive. That's their own personal thing. But for me, I don't really look at things in negative and positive and like that anymore. Well, I haven't for a long, long time. But conscious action. This is from Liddy. So conscious actions. It is what we should aspire to. It is freedom. This is the conscious shift. This is exactly the conscious shift. If we started, because this is where it's really resonating, the majority of it's resonating. It's not resonating in your brain. Your brain is covered over with a plastic film at the age of 14, 15, and roughly around about that sort of age to keep the magnetic field within itself. It's not really supposed to go out. Okay. And then when you get, people with Alzheimer's, and that's the breaking down of that plastic film, which allows the brain to literally go back to being like a child again. But it's all going on here. If we start resonating it with it consciously, all of a sudden the reaction to the energy that is around us, or the influence upon the energy that is around us as much as the energy is influencing us, will completely change. And that will change everything in regards to how we govern ourselves, how we do finances, how we do health, how we do enjoyment, everything. It will all change because we will have a different um, palette of tools to interact with the world around us, and we could change everything very, very quickly if we started, even if it's just as simply just started consciously listening to our bodies as we go through life. Totally. So yeah, totally get with that, Liddy. Lynn, when listening to our bodies, would you say, depending on what you're feeling and where in the body, means different things in regards to our chakras? Yeah, and I do talk about it in the chakra sequencing, and that's part and parcel of the chakra sequencing of becoming conscious about how your energy centers are playing. So your solar plexus is about here. Let me just show you my gut. as it were. So if you get your you know, you can douse chakras and you can feel chakras and stuff like that. And it's um, but if you take your belly button and you've got your hand just above it, it's pretty much there, and it comes just below the sternum as well. But in that section there, you have the abdomen a little bit. Um, uh, is it the abdomen? What's the thing that goes like that makes you breathe? You know what I mean? It is the abdomen. Mm. You've also got the liver, you've also got the gut, you've also got the gallbladder, and you've got loads of different things going on that is connected to the solar plexus. And I was saying it in particular readings this week here that the solar plexus was playing a lot more on the liver, for example. And that's that fiery aspect of the solar plexus. And understanding the nuances within your body of how it's sort of like that's, I'm fortunate. And the only thing I have as an advantage over other people is that fortunately I've been blessed with the time to explore this, and I've been exploring this for over 30 years. This whole sort of perception of body and energy and everything like that, and so I've been blessed with the opportunity to explore it and have the time to explore it. And so if you know it's within the solar plexus, you know that it's to do with certain aspects of your determination and courage and stuff like that. But that courage or that determination will be, it's like sort of when you're painting something, you can start say the color I'm painting is yellow, but there's so many different nuances of yellow. It's like it's much more complex than that. But once you start to get your body will tell you very quickly. And the thing is, this is the other thing as well. When I'm doing my workshops, yeah, and we do it, and I do a lot of these experiments. I'm not like this, sort of like experimenting on people. Allow people to explore their connection to energy, and I help people to explore their connection to energy. And within their exploration, a lot of people will be kind of sort of saying, is it that? Or is it that? Or is it that? Or is it that? And usually, if you do listen to your body, it's usually the first thing that kind of goes, ding. Oh yeah, I think it's that. Is it that? So I wouldn't question it until you get a retrospection at the beginning. Once you've got the retrospection, so you decide about something, you do it, you get the result, and at that point there in your meditation, you can look back and you can kind of say, oh, maybe there was I was a little bit harsh maybe on what I thought on that and stuff. And you gradually fine tune it over time. It takes time. Everybody, it's like asking if you ask me, 50 years ago, certain questions, obviously I was a tiny little kid. I wouldn't have the same perception of what I have now. And that's because I've had time to experience and stuff like that. So it does take, over time, you can really, really fine tune it. But understanding the fundamentals of how actually energy really works. And, I tend to get into a lot of mechanical stuff when I do my workshops and stuff like that. But, once you know how it works, you can almost see the domino effect. And starting from one point, you've got a very good idea of where it's going to end up. So, listening to your body, yeah, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. The different parts of the body. Okay, hang on a second. The comments are going faster than I can keep up with them. Sorry, I'm babbling on too much, obviously. Um, yeah, when listening to our bodies, we say, oh yeah. So that was from Lynn. That's why we call it the monkey brain. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, you don't want to. In French they sort of say, your monkey brain gets on a bicycle and just starts riding around like a lunatic. And that's the problem. And in order for your monkey mind to do that, you need enormous amount of energy. not enormous amount of energy. You need a huge, uh, what's it called? Um, Turnover. It's not turnover. What is it? In French, it's débit. It's it's the volume that it's going through per second. I can't even think of the word now. So you need a lot of that, but you've got to pull that energy from elsewhere. So it causes enormous amounts of other problems in your life, like tiredness, sleep deprivation, sleep pattern problems, bumping into things, bouts of anger. There's loads of things that are connected with it when we just try and live life in our brain, and it's not a good idea. So we have so yeah, so that monkey brain is getting control of it. Vita, how can we differentiate between the body's response and the brain's response? Well, you can't. What in theory, this is how it should happen. So I listen to my brain. Hang on a second. No, that's not what I said. Hang on, we go backwards. Just go backwards a bit. You listen to your body. So basically, your brain, your monkey mind, should be calm 99% of the time in the day. Shouldn't be giving you any stick whatsoever, right? And but when you're confronted with something, the first thing you'll feel is your energy will feel it, and that vibration or that frequency will then start resonating with your organs that are within you. It's also your bones, which is a type of metal. Calcium is a type of metal, so it's like an antenna that takes on that energy from interior and from exterior. And where that energy meets within your organs, you will be able to listen to it within your body. So, and that has to happen first. Once that happens, then that information then goes to your monkey mind. And in theory, your monkey mind is sitting up there and it kind of goes, right, okay, so the heart says this and the stomach says this. And that's where we find the logic. So then basically your monkey mind will kind of go, and in that case, logically, we should be doing this. So there is no there is no arguing between your body and your emotions and your mind. They work in tandem. They work together. Because if they don't work together, it's a mess, isn't it? It's got to work together. The emotions can't override the logic, and the logic can't override the emotions. They have to find a mutual ground, and that's what we would call consciousness, if you like, where and it's not a compromise either. Each works to its full, pure raison d'être, which I keep repeating. Who's that? Sully said that. We find our raison d'être for everything. You find your raison d'être because your monkey mind is no longer in a position kind of like worrying about if that's good or bad. That's not what it does. The monkey mind is there just to kind of go, okay, what is logical and what is not logical? That's why it's the common sense revolution that I keep talking about. So basically, in order to have a reflection, you've got to have a sentiment about something, and to have a sentiment, you've got to feel something, to have sensation about something. And I could take a knife and I could cut, my brain or anybody else's brain. You don't feel a thing. And that is really important because logic should not be affected by emotions. At the end of the day, your body is telling you something. Your logical mind is then giving its advice on how we should do it logically. Then you, as a spirit within your body, connected to your guide, so connected to your soul, will then make the choice of, okay, am I or am I not going to do this, or how I can do this, or how I engage in it, or actually going ahead and doing it. And we also decide to give it certain nuances, and that's that human As they all say, God gave us, is it liberty of free will? That's where the free will comes into play. That's when we interact with karma and everything like that. So, it's rate of flow. Thank you very much, Liddy. Yeah, rate of flow. So it's there's no conflict between the monkey mind and the emotions at all, and there should never be, basically. And the body's response and the mind response, the mind will just kind of sort of say, like, if I give the example of when I said no to the person about changing the wheel on their car, my logical brain said, okay, just say no. There's no emotions in it, in the logic. It's pure um, it's pure logic of what you should be doing, basically. Okay. Cosima Risolvo, first time commenting, I think. I don't think I've ever seen you here before. Lovely to see you, by the way. Wow, I was just thinking about listening to my body when I opened your YouTube and found your first video. There you go. Welcome. That's what it's all about. We gradually, that's, yeah, fantastic. I'm so glad you got here. I'm going on an esoteric artist retreat. All right, okay, in southern Italy. Wow, I bet that's good. That's all going to be exploring the idea of vibration and colors, which is absolutely brilliant. I know you're going to have a great time. I know you're going to have a great time. What do you see for me around the catalyst pivot point in my life? Are you saying that's a catalytic pivot point in your life? Kim, hello. How you doing, Kim? Lovely to see you. Cosima, are you Italian? Um, um, yeah, I'm not sure if catalytic pivot. Is this going to be a catalytic pivot point? Okay, so if you don't mind, I will connect to your energy and read your energy, if that's all right with you. Is that okay? I don't like connecting to people without them knowing that I'm connecting to them, because then that's a bit like it's a bit like peeping Tom. It's a bit like a peeping Tom. I don't like doing that. So if it's okay, I'll just yes. I know I'm going. It's going to change my life. So okay, let me just sort of like, if it's okay with you. I think it's okay with you if I just have a quick look at your energy. Okay, there is everything should be in balance, and I've forgotten. I think I talked about it in the messages from energy. Your heart is lovely. It's really big. There's a lot of energy within your heart chakra, within that sort of side of things, and I think you're loving what you're doing, or how what the workshop you're going on and everything like that. Just don't be blinded by your heart. Listen to it, of course, and yeah, follow it, of course, to a certain extent, but don't don't put yourself out of balance, out of kilter. Don't put yourself out of balance. Yeah. So as a pivotal point for you, it seems like what you're investigating may not necessarily be art per se, although you probably are a very good artist. I'm hopeless. I can only draw stick men. Buonasera. Okay, Sully can speak. Everyone's going to start speaking Italian. Watch it. I'll start speaking French in a minute. No, but buonasera, isn't that Spanish? Anyway, let me get back to the energy. Sorry about that. It's connected to something else, isn't it? It's connected to either are you starting and presenting a new sort of kind of art therapy or stuff like that? Is that what you want to do ultimately? Because it seems like it's connected to something bigger than just painting. as it were. And you know, I've had, you know, in my healing center, you know, that I had in the Pyrenees, you know, we had up to 20 odd different types of therapists within there, and it's, you know, there's many ingredients that you need in order to make a cake, and understanding that one therapy is just one of the ingredients to making that cake. So understanding the strength of what you're trying to bring to people to help people in life, and not being the one stop for everything, if you know what I mean. Okay, because sometimes the heart can do that. Okay, lovely to see you too, Kim. Absolutely beautiful to see you too, Kim. Lovely to see you. I haven't seen you for a few weeks. You've been busy, haven't you? You know, it's that is correct as a healing modality. Okay, yeah, exactly. I'm, I think it's a very good thing, and I think it will. I think the thing that's happening in Italy, although it's being presented in a certain way, will actually spark a lot of things in you. Kind of go, I don't necessarily agree with that, or I don't necessarily, that doesn't really work for me, but I know how I can turn it in a sense so it can work for me, and I know then how to present it to other people, and then therefore I know how to help other people a lot more because I can turn it in a certain sense. So yeah, I think it'd be fantastic. I think it'd be absolutely brilliant. Where are you going to be working out of Italy? You know, it'd be, you know, I'm going to connect with my land, sea and people. Land, sea, and people, as in sea, as in sea, as in the sea. Right, okay. And people. Excellent. So yeah, you know, I think it'd be a um, really good sort of. I think it's going to be a catalyst for lots of different things actually within your life. I think you're going to understand a lot of different things. It's like a key that opens the door for you, as it were. So yeah, you know, yeah, you know. So nature listens, Anna. How you do it? It is Anna, isn't it? Please tell me I'm getting it right. I have replied to your email, by the way, and I will be replying again in the next couple of days. You know, so lovely to see you. Astro, did you say don't be blinded by your heart? Beautiful. It's a song, right? It's a song. Hang on a second, it's moving again. It's a song right there. You know, it's blinded by the light. It's a little bit like that, you know, sort of thing. A friend of mine. Okay, so this is Liddy. Liddy saying to Cosima, just so you can know Cosima. A friend of mine did a course, and it was a lovely tool to have. I reckon it's a fantastic tool. Do you know, if you take, like, so we can't actually see the color fuchsia. We don't have the cones in our eyes. We only have three cones. So we got the red, blue, and green, and we can't actually physically see the color fuchsia, pink, right? A certain nuances of pink. Our brain makes up the color by thinking, okay, so it's not any of those things and all those. Therefore, it's around about there. So that's probably what the color is. So, no, absolutely brilliant to add, Liddy. Join in, man. That's what it's all about, man. We're all part and parcel of it, all part of the solution. It's great to join in and help out. Um, uh, is where the program is. Oh, is it really? Okay, nice, nice. I reckon you're going to love it. Um, yes, dowsing with you, nature listens. Um, yeah, we will be talking at some point this week. Um, yeah, so it is a key, yeah, like the key that opens up. So pink, getting back to pink, right? They did an experiment where they painted part of a prison, the prison cells in one um, uh, penton. What is it called? When you talk about colours, the nuance of colours in one particular pink, and then another part of the prison they painted it in another type of pink that was only like 2 or 3 um, pantons. I don't even know the word anymore. Um, so it was really close pink, but one of the pinks made people very aggressive, and then 2 or 3 pentons, whatever, 2 or 3 nuances away from that one, it made everybody really calm, and that's to do with the vibration of color. It's like they've done experiments on people who are blind, and they had 2 rooms that were exactly the same temperature. One was painted red, the other one was painted blue. And obviously, when they went into the blue room, they thought that that was a colder room than when they went into the red room, although the temperature was exactly the same. There's huge amounts of things. I did loads. This is what I mean. I've had a lot of time in my life, and I explored enormously color because it was I was trying to understand the auras that I was seeing and the colors that I was seeing in the auras. So, Pantone, exactly. Pantone. Thank you very much, Cosima. Are you Italian? You are obviously with that name. You've got to be. Surely, you speak English very well, or you write it very well anyway. But yeah, it's color has a huge effect. It's also like, for example, if you have a hospital window that you can see outside and you can see trees and greenery, um, the healing effect or the recuperation of the patient goes up by like 20% if the person can see greenery or plants and so forth. These lovely little friends of ours, aren't you, my friends? Hey, you give me a stroke, are you? Nice, lovely. But that's why you should always have plants in hospital rooms. That's why people bring flowers. Why would you bring flowers to someone in hospital? It's not like you're kind of going, going out on a date. You know what I mean? The color of energy. Totally. I have a healing system that is to do with color, which I would need financial investment in order to put it into place because I don't have the finances in order to do it. But the walls are blue. The walls so the walls are blue. Oh, hang on a second, I've missed out quite a few here. I was listening to frequency music earlier, and lavender color was really coming through. Oh yeah, you can also, it's like, I've forgotten who it was. There's a particular, they call it an illness, but it's not. And it came from a conductor of classical music of a big orchestras. And he could see, when people were playing music, he could see colors, like auras of colors. And I forgot what his name was now off the top of my head. Anyway, and and he thought everybody else could see them till very late on in life, and he's kind of saying, well, it's blue, isn't it? You can see the blue. And everyone just thought he was like using blue as a color to explain it, but he could physically see it, and it is a particular condition, like sort of like color blindness, sort of thing. And I've forgotten the name of the person. Maybe someone will find it. But yeah, you can see color. You can see color when people are playing music as well. And the so like the reason you can see that this is green is because it's the only color that the plant cannot absorb. So when you're looking at an aura of a plant, you can usually they only usually have sort of like red and blue, and they don't have green in their aura. And if you growing stuff in cupboards, like some people grow plants in cupboards inside, they use a particular light that uses only blue and red because that's what they can absorb. You can't absorb green, can you? No, you can't. So You know, yes, I'm Italian, but I live in the United States. Oh, right, okay. And I spoke both Italian and English. Excellent. Bueno. Or was that Spanish? I speak it. Yeah, doesn't matter. But yeah, fantastic. So blue. Um, Blue it has a good calming effect. This is on the hospital walls with who is it? Sully. Blue is quite, is sort of good and everything like that. But I also think they use blue because it will show up the red of any blood and everything like that a lot more easier. Either they use blue or greens because that's the three primary colours that they got to use. It's yeah. But if you, this is it. It's a little bit like so like for males for prostate problems, the best thing in the world is pumpkin seeds. Now the thing is that medical companies can't extract the exact molecule that can help prostate because it's actually a combination of things. So once you start eating the when we start eating the pumpkin seeds, what we're doing is we're mashing things together, and the chemical reactions between the molecules makes the new compound which helps the prostate. And that's a similar sort of thing that goes on with these people. These people, our plant friends, they have a particular resonance in their colours that, although painting the hospital green may help things out, I think it's the living colour more than anything else that helps it out. So that's my personal sort of like point of thing. When I was younger, I could see colour too. Oh right, Liddy, you could see colour too when you played music. Yeah, it is a particular condition. You look it up online. You know what I mean? Jimi Hendrix. Yeah, Jimi Hendrix has his own way of seeing colours, doesn't he? You know, what I mean, my old man met Jimi Hendrix. My old man used to be a journalist. Well, he's still a journalist, but in the '60s, and my uncle was is a singer of the Who, and my old man used to play Risk with Jimi Hendrix, and he had an evening with Jim Morrison as well. And I said to him, "So what was it like with Jim Morrison?" And he turned around, he said, "Man, he couldn't really have a decent conversation with him. He was completely off the planet." So yeah, you know. What you completely forgot about the fact that you could see colour? Was that it, Liddy? Oh yeah, okay. So Cosima has found it. It's called synesthesia. There it is. You can read it. I was never much good at Latin. You know what I mean? It's called synesthesia. Synesthesia. I've got to put my teeth back in to say that one. Yeah, it's a particular type of condition. So I can see auras, and maybe that's a particular type of condition. I don't know. But it's like yeah, it's yeah. You can get the same thing when you're looking at colors and paintings and stuff like that. It will affect moods. It will affect lots of different things because that's full on in your face. Where music is a lot more sort of subtle. It's music is a conduit that helps the energy to work, whereas color is much more direct in your face, as it were. So, you know, playing with color and drawing and painting and stuff like that is really important. I would love to see some of your work. You must come back and show the Astroflower family, some of your work, Cosima, and tell us how you're getting on with all of that. It'd be really interesting to know, you know. Um, so yeah, it'd be really good to sort of like, hear about your thoughts when you're going. You're going next weekend. You can come on come on the live in a couple of weeks once you've done the thing and tell us all about it. It'd be really interesting. So yeah, of course, color. So yeah, this is the whole conscious shift, the understanding that the go-between is energy. That's why when I was younger, people were doing Reiki, Reiki or whatever you want to call it. There's other people doing other types of sort of like healings and stuff like that. And I had to create my own system simply because, you know, I wanted to go to the source. I needed to go to energy, I need purely, I didn't want to go into psychology and everything like that. I ended up, because you work with energy, you end up doing a lot of things that a lot of people who I know who are involved in, say, like hypnotherapy and so forth, they kind of say, well, you're saying exactly what they talk about as well in hypnotherapy without even knowing it, So, because energy is the basic source for everything. So we are going through that shift at the moment, fantastic times. Fantastic. It's a great time well, I say it's a great time to be alive. Everybody is alive. This is why the population is so big upon this planet at the moment. If you think about sort of like 500 years ago, there was what? 50 million people on the planet, 500 million. I don't know exactly how many it was. 500 years and before, you'd have to wait a very long time to be reincarnated because there wasn't enough physical vessels in the way of bodies to be born. But at the moment, because they have huge amounts of population, the moment this life is over, you get up top, you do your review, and kind of go, right, body number 7,600,566,024. You know what I mean? Whatever it is. No matter what horror is happening around, cymatics. Well, this is why I called it cymatics and geometry resonates the energy. That's why I had my other channel I've got another channel called Cymatic TV, and I wanted to do that much more. And I will be doing stuff on that later on in life because there's a lot more about energy and the conversion of energy into reality. But cymatics is really important, yeah. That's why I did Cymatic TV, which you can find on YouTube. There's loads of videos that I've done on there as well for that sort of thing. Yeah, cymatics is amazing, which was first discovered by, was it Galileo? Who was it? They rubbed an iron plate with little bits of sand on it and stuff like that. Amazing thing it is. So Lynn says, no matter what horror is happening around in the world, after your lives, I have such a great feeling about life. I think it's complete oneness. Yeah, you know what I mean. It's all right. Everything's okay. I think it's going to be great. If you look to the world and you kind of sometimes when you look at the world, you kind of think, what a show, what a defecation show. You know what I mean? I don't like swearing because I get in trouble. Yeah, you could look at it and you can say kind of, you could easily just turn around and kind of go, what's the point? But at the same time, it's okay. It's okay. It's just a process that we need to go through to get it out of our system. And I'm convinced that we seem to be exponentially getting out of our system a lot quicker. I don't know if you ever heard of a bloke called no, not Rupert Sheldrake, but another guy called I forgot his name now. He was out in Hawaii, and he used to talk about this time zero, where new things that we keep doing, keep doing conflict, and it has less and less effect upon people, the conflicts. And I think we're getting to that point where new conflicts, everyone will just turn around and go, oh, just forget it, mate. No one's going to give it any attention. Therefore, the conflicts, they can't build a massive conflict anymore. no one will get involved with it. So I think what was his name? Brown. Was it Brown? No, Darren. Oh, blast. Uh, oh, I nearly had it there. Had fuzzy hair. Lovely guy. He passed away just before 2012. He was in Hawaii. And he did stuff with Rupert Sheldrake. He did lots of different things with lots of different people about with mescaline. Is it no, not mescaline? It was DMT. I think he did a lot of stuff with DMT, as sort of like a little bit like ayahuasca to sort of like see the other side of the worlds and stuff like that. I've forgotten his name off the top of my head, but I think that's no matter what's going on in the world, I think it's it's gonna change so quickly because we're coming to the end of everything, and that's when the new dimension will, or the new way of being will totally kick in. So rainflower, uh, does that mean you're in Australia, rainflower? I think it is. Particularly when I was younger, I used to get this horrible sensation of shapes forming in my face. Really? That sounds interesting. Sort of top of my nose between the eyes. I know that sounds mad. Never understood it. Now, it doesn't sound mad. Doesn't sound mad at all. I used to see a lot of what I would depict as cartoon characters when I was a kid. And I'm talking very small, so I must have been about sort of 4 or 5. And I remember it distinctly. Um, so shapes are, this is where we get into sacred geometry. Yeah, I love sacred geometry as well. This is what I mean. I've had like 30 odd years to explore every angle of everything. It's been very interesting, especially before the time we had internet and stuff like that, because you didn't have the internet. You had to explore things. You had to read books and stuff like that. You had to do the homework. But these days, you only have to listen to a video, and then that's it. We're a master of everything. And I think that's a really bad thing. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox about that. But it could be, if you imagine what you're doing is, if you're through your third eye and your throat chakra, and this point where the two chakras sort of go between the two, what you're doing is this is a possible sort of situation where you're creating a reality which takes a form through sacred geometry. And then once that gets released within the world, it will then resonate and attract certain things within your life. If you knew how to control those shapes, it'd be really good. I think it'd be really good. Maybe a really good thing to look back into and try doing, actually. Rainflower. Try seeing if you can, you can use shapes in order to, because shapes will contain, that's why it's called sacred geometry, contain a certain sort of vibration. That's why sacred geometry will not happen with 7 chakras. It can only really happen with 5 chakras. Because we only have 5 chakras. We don't have 7 chakras, we have 5. And once you get into 7, it goes into something completely different. It's a revelation number, and it goes into something completely different. So yeah, once you get into the idea of sacred geometry, and if you can create a form not only within your mind's eye, in your third eye, within your vision, but also of what you project within your emotions and so forth, and charge that shape emotionally, it could be a really good tool for manifesting things or bringing things into your life. Be interesting. You should really try it out and get back to us and tell her how it gets on with that. AI says the Swiss physician. Oh, blimey. This is from Kim. Okay. So, yes, that makes sense. What you said, concentrate expands, not giving it too much energy. Okay, good. That's from Lynn. So I'm just going on to that. Kim says AI says the Swiss physician Hans Jenny coined the term cymatics. in the 1960s. Yeah. They termed it in the 1960s, but there's accounts that go back, hundreds and thousands of, thousands of years, and a study of the wave phenomena. Yeah, cymatics. Amazing thing, when you can play around with those frequencies, And the thing is, so we're using sound, right? We're using sound and a metal plate and beads. So it's incredibly physical. Once you start moving into the electromagnetic fields, this is where you can take cymatics to a completely new level. And that's possibly what Rainflower is going to come back and give us a complete rundown on how that works. Actually, it does, as you do that exploration, because we are all part of the solution. Everybody has a part of the solution. And apparently, Rainflower and Cosima is going to come back with the colours together. We'll get something amazing going on, I'll tell you. But yeah, if you use the electromagnetic fields, oh, my microphone's going a bit weird. If you use the electromagnetic fields rather than sound, because sound is very primitive as a vibration, it has very limiting effects. Yeah, I know the sound healing and everything like that, and I get that, and I totally go along with it, but it is very limited as well, simply because it's not working on the electromagnetic world as it's working on mainly the physical world. So maybe something for something for another day. But if you work on the electromagnetic fields, that's when you can change so much more. You can change so much more, and you could even, you can make things weightless. So they levitation. But we don't actually. The thing is with levitation at the moment is that we don't have enough energy on this planet in order to levitate, because of pole shift. So, according to AI, Tom, have you done a video on the world chakra map you showed us recently? No, I haven't. I'm trying to write a book at the moment on it. I'm trying to do a lot of things. I need a lot of hands and help, really. It'd be nice if someone could do, help. Yeah, I will be doing some a video at some point on it. That's a map. I created that map. Must have been around about 98, 99, around about that period, around about 25 years ago. That map, very old map. Well, it is old for me, But yeah, so I'm trying to complete a book at the moment about that map, and about how, that's the frequency, if you like, the sacred geometry of the Earth in its position according to the frequency that comes from the sun. So if the sun puts it out a certain frequency, where those frequencies meet, that's where Earth can find its balance, so it floats in space. The magnetic field of the sun is so powerful. If it was that powerful, in theory, it should be just sucking all the planets into it, but it doesn't. And the reason being is because you get the opposing forces, and this is what sacred geometry is all about. You get the opposite or the opposing forces, which creates a void within the energy and allows another type of energy to expand and explore. And that is what that map is all about. So if you look at Mercury only has two lines, because it's only in the first dimension. It has a northern hemisphere line and a southern hemisphere line. The Venus has four lines. It has two in the top and some northern hemisphere, and two in the bottom hemisphere. The Earth has three on the northern hemisphere and 3 in the southern hemisphere, but they go across the north and the south, as you can see on those maps. I could bring that map up for you if you want. It'd be easy to see. We'll do another video on that another day. But so, and then you have Mars, which has 4 lines, and then you go to Jupiter. If you look at the poles of Jupiter and Saturn, you get pentagrams and hexagrams. That's because you've got 6 lines northern, 6 lines southern, 5 lines northern and 5 lines southern. It's all to do with frequency and harmonics, and what keeps planets in their places and so forth, and how a solar system works. So a solar system works on that changing frequency as it goes out to the outer planets, which refines the gases that is created during its Earth period. So it creates fuel for the sun. So the sun is creating planets and life in order for the fuel, the sun to get to refuel itself. So Chrissy, hi, how you doing? I haven't thanked you yet in the comments. I'm sorry I've been a bit slow in the comments. I thank you very much for your donation the other day, by the way. I think it was you gave me a donation. If not, you can have a thanks anyway. Scalar frequency, is that what you're saying there, Frisia? Yeah, if I'm getting it right. You are very correct. Leonardo da Vinci, okay, and Galileo, yeah, performed the earliest known recorded observations of the phenomenon of somatic. Yeah, no, exactly, yeah. We've known about it for thousands. We've known it before the existence of the human society, because human society has developed, collapsed, 4, 5. This is the 5th time. This is the last time. We've already gone through the earth, wind, earth, air, fire, and water. We've gone through the 4 dimensions already, and we're now onto this 5th one, as it were. Dimensions. I don't like working the word dimensions because I see a lot of videos and people. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that, but it's like it's so Galileo and it's Galileo and thingy, but it was someone. It was John. What was his name again? Kim, you said his name, didn't you? It was a Swiss guy. Swiss guy. What's the Swiss guy called? It wasn't Jung, although Jung's brilliant. I love Jung. I've lost the comment there. Hans Jenny. Oh, it's quite a nice name there. Hans Jenny. No, thank you. I'll have your feet. So, yeah. Good morning, Christy, by the way. Sorry about that. Scalar frequency. Thank you for the live. I have to go. So, yeah, see you later, Sully. I'll finish watching it later. Have a great week. Have a great week for you too as well. It is getting late actually, isn't it? I can't quite see the time from here. I think we've been going for some time. Blimey, yeah, it's nearly 11 o'clock. Yeah, been going for some time. It just flies by, doesn't it? It's terrible. It's terrible. It'd be great just to explore this continuously, wouldn't it? But then, I have been so lucky to spend the last 35 years just exploring all of this. It's been absolutely mad. So, Lynn, your plant is constantly speaking with you. I know it is. I know it won't shut up. It's terrible. Hey? What do you want to say? What do you want to say, my friend? He's saying it's so good to see humans getting it. That's what he's saying. Isn't he, mate? Mm-hmm. He's so chuffed. He's really chuffed. This plant here is incredibly chuffed. And this one's going yippee sort of thing as well. They all like it, these plants here. They're absolutely brilliant. When I arrived, I've got to say they were pretty much at death's door, and we seem to have gotten back on track. I seem to make plants grow amazingly well. I don't make them grow. That's true. I think it is just an engagement with energy, you know. But yeah, that's what he's sort of saying to me. So yeah, no night, Suli, or see you later, Suli. Lynn Frasier, completely different topic. Okay, curious question. Let's see, love it. Always love a curious question. When you astro travel, can you still smell the surroundings? Oh, interesting. Do you know what? I don't think I've ever really noticed any sort of smells when I've been doing it. I'll investigate that. I'll investigate that. That's an interesting thought. I can definitely obviously see physically because the way you see energy, it doesn't. I had Eva. I think she's gone to bed now. Bless her. She's an amazing being. We were sitting around playing, looking at energy, learning to see energy. So she was learning to see energy, and yeah, it was really funny because she's got glasses, so because I forgot what exactly the problem she has, but anyway, and I needed to test whether she could see energy with the glasses or without the glasses. And actually, once she took the glasses off, it became a lot easier to see the energies and so forth. And when you see energy, it doesn't stop you seeing everything that is around you. It's not like that. You can see energy like I can see it now. Once I connect to it, like I'm connecting to it now because it's a state of being, it's a state of meditation. So you can see it getting through, but then I can still see everything. So I'm wondering if you can still smell things. I don't know. I'll have to. I'll tell you what, Frisia. I'll I'll do an investigation and I'll tell you. I'll do an investigation. I would have thought you could still smell things because yeah, I would have thought you could still smell things, but I want to be sure before I say yes or no. Hands, shoulders, knees and toes. Knees and toes. Let me break them in the song again now. Yeah, Hans Christian Andersen. Yeah, interesting. Because you know how we smell. So basically, the smell, when we smell something, it's a molecule that goes into our nose, and it's a very quantum mechanic sort of situation going on. It's amazing. You get a particle that goes between two receptors, like a U receptor. So you get a particle that goes between the two, and it passes a pulse of electricity through that particle and recognizes the electromagnetic field of that particle, which then signals to our brain, oh, that must mean someone's farted. Or that's what a rose smells like. Whatever it is, you know. So this comes from Chrissy G. My son astral travels than hang on a second. My son astral travelled then the other night, I guess that is, and found is such a profound. He said he felt a moment of normality from living from anxiety. Yeah, no, it's a state of meditation. So that's probably what is good for him. State of meditation. You know, yeah, I'm still laughing about the smelling thing as well, Julie. But yeah, it's probably a state of meditation. And also it gives reason to, because anxiety is because we overthink. Once we stop overthinking, you won't have anxiety ever again. Or if you're trying to put too much in your brain, that's not where life is. That's just you missed the beginning, Chrissy. Well, I explained this at the beginning, so I'm not going to explain it all again, but it's basically where the logic is. And in order to do that, we need a lot of electricity. And because we've got a lot of electricity, we pull that electricity from the rest of our body. And then therefore, the moment we get an emotion that touches part of our body, like the stomach or the heart, there's not enough electricity to deal with it, or electromagnetic or energy to deal with it. And that gets shot straight up to the brain, and the brain can't understand what's going on. And that's what creates the anxiety, basically. So if he's doing astroplaning, astro traveling, he's going to be giving a sense of purpose to his brain. So then, therefore, that's going to reduce enormously the anxiety to him. Yeah, but he could easily, readapt that within his life and reduce the anxiety within his life enormously. If he steps out of the brain and into the body. Sorry, you should have been in the beginning. We went into all of that sort of thing at the beginning. I'm not going to go into it because we all went into it. But yeah, very interesting. I totally get it. Totally get it. And, much joy and love to your son. I can feel my daughter arriving. Are you going to bed? No, my love. See you later. Bye. Yeah. So, yeah, that's good. I'm glad he does. I'm glad he's found the purpose in order to, give him respite from all his anxiety and stuff like that. It's really good. Much more power to him for that. My daughter has anxiety. I think I'll tell her that it's her monkey mind flipping poop at reality. Yeah, that's the problem. Is it's like it becomes like a drug. It's like a ball with a dog. You shouldn't really throw too much of a ball for your dog because it becomes a drug for them, and that's all they want to do in the future. And it makes them anxious. Not anxious, but it's not brilliant for them. So it can become that whole being in our mindset can become like a drug. So, yeah, it's always, I don't think it's a good thing to do all the time to be in your mind, as it were. Causes a lot of sort of stuff. Chrissy G, man, you donated the other day as well. You're an absolute star. YouTube don't give us nothing for doing all of these sort of videos, and it's so lovely to see these donations, and I really do appreciate it very much. Because YouTube doesn't help. So I thank you. It wasn't me that donated, wasn't it really? I gave you the thanks anyway, but I'm happy to contribute to your wisdom. I thank you so much, my love. That's very nice. I really do appreciate it. Really do appreciate it. It's always lovely to see. I should do all my healing on donation, and people couldn't get their head around it, and I should love it. And I'd like to go back to that, just on pure donation. I think I might do, because I can't be asked. I can't be. Excuse my French. Sorry, YouTube. I can't be. I don't like fixing things, prices and stuff like that. Thank you very much. Show Chrissy how, I don't know how old your son is, but show him that tea meditation thing. That will really help him out and it will give him a lot of respite from his anxiety. Same thing for you and your daughter, Lynn. The tea meditation thing every single morning, and finishing with that soap bubble is so important. Really, really important part of it. Once you do that, you take all that electricity away from your brain and you put all the electricity back into your body, and it becomes a lot easier to deal with life. So I think we've covered a lot here. I think we've done loads. It's been great fun. It always is great fun. I didn't know what we were going to talk about tonight. I just had the idea of the shift and just kind of going, yeah, let's just explore that, And it's been absolutely fantastic, as it is every week with the Astroflower family exploring stuff. This is what life should be all about, really. This is where we should be actually loving it. You should be able to swear if YouTube isn't paying you. Yeah, I know, exactly. I know, it's terrible. well, for the lives, I don't get anything. I think they play adverts during the live, but I never see any of it. You know, it's all for YouTube. I think YouTube is the only one who makes actual real money out of it. And obviously, I don't do this for making money out of it. It's much more important life than money. Money is not going to be with us for everywhere. It's going to be gone soon, right? And that's going to be a real bit of a head fuck for people to get their head round. But it won't take away the idea of competition and everything like that. But we will get past money. We've got to. There's no other way. It's not a natural thing, money, and we should never have it. But anyway, have a healthy and happy week, and you as well, Frisia. Thank you very Cosima for being in, telling us about the colours and everything like that. It'd be lovely to hear how it went. By the way, thank you very much, Lynn, Kim, Chrissy, Sully, Julie, Anne Marie. Lovely to see you. Always a pleasure. Yes, pleasure. Vita as well. Lovely to see you as well, Vita. Who else? Because I don't like missing people out. I get worried. Liddy, lovely. It was great seeing you as well. I haven't seen you for some time. Oh yeah, by the way, before we go anywhere, there's a member of the family, Parry. You must have seen her comments some point. You know, Parry. In some point in your daily, you know, when you're taking your time out, you know, during the day, just pass a nice thought for Parry. So she's going through difficult times at the moment, physically, and you know, it'd be just nice if it'd be nice if we, you know, if we could all sort of like, you know, pass her a nice bit of you know, good bit of energy, healing energy, and so forth, for her. So you know. Just thought I'd say that. You know, keep that in mind for when you're in your meditation. Liddy, thank you very much. Coral, of course. Hello. Yes, Coral. Sorry, thanking you. Kim. Have I said thank you, Kim, already? I think I have, actually. But yeah, thank you, Kim. Entire Astroflower. Yeah, thanking everybody for being here. Vita, thanking you so much. And, you know, lovely to have you here. Very truly appreciate it all, man. It's, you know, it's a joy to meet you on a regular basis. Really is. You know, makes life fun, because that's what life is for. Life should be fun. You know what I mean? So you know, make sure you enjoy, no matter how difficult it can be. Thank you, Coral. Yeah. So yeah, just give a nice thought for Parry at the moment. You know, she's you know, just needs a bit of support, whichever way it is. Just good, honest, kind thoughts, as it were. Good thought and energies and stuff like that. I will see you all soon, I guess. You know, yeah, I will see you all soon. Let me just sort of like shut up shop like that, as it were. And you know, yeah, I will see you next week. I will be doing some more different types of videos as well, to do with energy and stuff like that, because there's a couple of things that have been coming up on my radar that I'd like to do a few videos on. Obviously, you've got the weekly readings and so forth, and all of those malarkeys. You know, lovely to see it all. Lovely to see all the comments, and thank you very much. I will see you soon. Yes, don't forget, as I say, life should be fun, so please do enjoy.